was kicking myself after we forgot to invite him
Yeah,
for a Form Check
he
Friday.
was in a rush. I didn't want to bother
Yeah.
him too much. But anywho, should we get rolling?
I think we should. Should we talk about school real quick?
Well, school, the platform that the team is
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So yeah, so with this Form Check Friday, what I do is for lifters on the team, I kind of have a bit of a opportunity to both cyberbully them and show them off with the improvements that they're making. So these are all lifters in Team Activated right now, which is a platform that I have created within the school platform so that we can try to make powerlifting coaching better, because a lot of powerlifting coaching kind of sucks because you get slow response times, shitty feedback that doesn't really do anything for you, just a lot of good jobs or a lot of get strongers. And right now there is some get strongers, but there is a lot of trying to boil down what the lifter needs so we can figure out
Yeah.
how to adapt programs to them so they start getting better real fast. And it's so freaking fun for me to get to be part of this because I love helping lifters, and it is just a good way to help lifters. And I got to make sure my computer's muted before I turn this video
Yeah.
on. But I already saw this video of Isaac's because he just
Cheater.
competed the other weekend and he had a little bit of a YOLO deadlift session.
Oh, sick shirt. Oh, whoa.
And what's funny
Oh
is
my
this is
gosh.
495. He normally pulls sumo, and he pulled his first 500 at the meet on the weekend. And then he goes and does this stupid Jefferson deadlift, whatever. I mean, it's fun. But I think what I responded to him in the comment when he posted this on Instagram was like, I think we need to explore conventional, because if a Jefferson deadlift is this close to his sumo, and I think that like his sumo's a little bit wonky because of hip flexibility combined with lever length. I think
Just
that like
looking at him standing, I think he would make a good conventional
yeah,
deadlifter,
because like
honestly.
what we've been doing for a sumo is the sumo was a lot of like needs stronger conventional stuff. So we've been pounding like stuff that should help a conventional. And like seeing this, it just makes me want to go like, let's run this post meet phase with a lot of conventional, because I think that this could open some doors to some really cool stuff
Also,
if he could just get both legs behind the bar.
you should honestly screenshot my reaction because I was not expecting this whatsoever.
No.
I had no lead up to this.
But again, like this is one of the things where it's like, okay, like he likes to pull sumo. Sumo worked better when he didn't have the posterior chain stuff and the back strength and everything.
Yeah.
But like, if he could Jefferson deadlift this is freaking good.
Is it a Jefferson deadlift?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
I honestly haven't seen someone do that in half a decade.
I might want to see like if he can creep up the Massonomics Jefferson deadlift leaderboard, because like this is getting pretty good.
My
Holy shit,
goodness.
Mirko's here. Matt's here.
Mirko. Oh,
Friends here.
Brendan. And we found out that Factory Stage's name is Ryan. Well, it's not Ryan Self though, is it?
I hope it is. But we're gonna check out Matt's because he's here now.
What's going on, Matt?
Have you seen these? I've seen these already.
Oh no.
Okay, I'll let you take the lead.
Can you go back to the start?
No. Get nice and tight on the unrack.
On it, this is getting a lot
But
better.
what I want to point out on the unrack is he's nice and tight. Let's off.
Yeah. That was the first thing that I noticed. That's why I wanted to watch it again. Like he's staying pretty tight through his scaps on that lift off, but he kind of lets off through
the legs a
the
little
posterior
bit.
chain
And I think
and
it's
the legs.
like
Yeah.
with that scap set, what I'm thinking about is like I'm trying to think like shoving his legs up into the upper back potentially that he's creating to kind of try to like connect the legs to the upper back. And I think that could make the unrack feel a little bit more solider.
I like to use the cue of kind of closing the gap.
Yeah.
You don't want any lost tension between your feet and hands, essentially.
What are you thinking here?
I can't really see what's going on, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty behind the rack right now with this angle, but I think this angle works for showing the squat. But I think like that unrack is pretty situated. He's pretty locked in. I think the head, it's hard to see right now, so I'm watching for motion. I think the head's pretty solid.
This looks better. There's a little sticking point partway down where I think he kind of like shifted funny. What do you think?
Yeah.
And whereas he almost like kind of like comes back before his knees come forward, if you know what I mean.
And what he wants to run for this is Matt is kind of taking team programming and putting his own spin on it because he wants to explore and wants to learn. And like what he kind of asked me is like, hey, should I be thinking quads and high bar? And I think that what I want to be thinking here is like he does get into the knees well, so I'm not really even worried too much about like running a high bar to make quads stronger. I think I'm running a high bar to try to figure out how to make that initiation smoother so that he can get a little bit more knee right off the hop. because like he's in the hinge and he just doesn't quite have enough of it to get where he needs to go. So when you're doing running the high bars, like what I'd be thinking about is just like trying to get in the knees early and then learning that getting in the knees early on the high bar should help you get in them better on the low bar. Because again, it's like the quad work you've been doing is 100% paying off with how well you were able to stay in the legs. And the upper back work you're doing is 100% paying off with how not hollow your upper back is looking. So I'm generally very, very, very stoked with how squats have shaped up. And I think a lot of that is, again, like if we could just like stay in the legs better, get in the legs better, you should be able to drive through that stick a little bit more harder.
Absolutely. We've also got a bunch of people in the comments.
Holy shit, Jordan Wong's here.
I know. That's what I was. He even said interrupting.
He should be too busy to watch this bullshit.
Right? What are you doing here? Should we watch a Jordan Wong lifting video just because?
I probably should put it on since he's 2 days out right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's
He's
Ghost
probably in
Clash.
the middle of his water cut, just like suffering, and then
Oh,
decided
yeah.
to make it worse on him by watching this.
He needs something to do. Do you want to restart this? I did not watch any of that.
But what we talked about, he missed the bench that he took after that first one that we watched because he went up, got maybe a little bit too ambitious of a jump. I think like 5 pounds less on the bar might have been able to squeak out because it was just like a barely miss. But he has been
Nice.
cranking hard on kind of doing a little bit more like tricep work and spready work, but he's not really been touching a lot of bottom end because with where his pecs were, we were trying to like gradually expose them. So he's been doing a lot of like slingshot with the spread. He's been doing a lot of like 2-3 boards with the spread. So this is something that he's been wanting to play with for a little bit. And I think like seeing where the bench went and seeing kind of like how he does need a little bit more oomph out of the bottom end.
Mm-hmm.
I do like this for that. But what I'd want to be aware of is with the American camber bar and his tendency, he used to really like over tuck and pterodactyl the bottom. The American camber bar can kind of make that a little bit easier to want to tuck because you have that neutral grip, so it kind of forces it. So what I'd just be cautious of is that we're not
He's
really
doing it on some of them.
Yeah, because I'd just be cautious of not like over tucking with this bar due to the neutral grip. We still want to kind of again like we can't just go out and flare like we have been with your main barbell work.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a little bit more of like trying
It's a bit of
to
a spread.
really spread against it as hard as you can and counterintuitive, but with the handle angles on this American cambered bar, the kind of like more comp angle, like the 45-degree this way, makes it a little bit harder to spread. And that's why I'm always such a fan of the reverse grip angle if we are trying to get more spread in, because that kind of encourages that outwards push. So the next time you run this, I'd want to try the other direction on the handles, and we should be able to make her work better. And Jordan Wong's in the hot tub.
Should we oh my god, am I having a stroke?
Yes.
Interrupt this programming to watch a Jordan Wong video?
Yeah, maybe.
What would be a good one that we can form check?
I don't know, you want to be... Have you been paying attention to his peak at all?
A little bit. I pay attention to his daughter in the backseat of his car during your videos.
So I'm doing Jordan's one of my one-on-one guys. So every week I get him to kind of send like a weekly recap video, kind of going over what he felt on his end, and every time Peanut is the back of his truck just talking shit, and it's hilarious.
Oh, it's great.
But I think this is a cool one to talk about because Jordan ripped his pec off with less weight than he just pressed full range a little bit over a year ago, and I think it's freaking cool to see that he's in that post pec above pec rip off territory. And I think like the thing that I kind of like do usually not like that I want to point out that he's doing a good job of is he is doing a little bit of sink, but his sink is productive because a lot of guys will just like sink and lose upper back. But if you pay attention even in the slingshot, when he is sinking it, you can see that the upper back is like the rib cage is taking some of it, but the upper back is still there. The upper back is still doing upper back things. And he's like pulling himself up into the bar to enhance the sink versus just like skirting away from tension. And the other thing I'm pretty stoked about here is number one, it was a bit of a grind, but I'll just wait for the slingshot. I'm not to talk about it to point it out. But looking at lefty elbow, like it's hard to see because it is obstructed by his thickness. Not calling you fat, Jordan. Because they'll look at me talking.
Thick with 2 C's.
But what he's been struggling with is kind of since the pack is getting that left elbow through, and a lot of that is Serratus needing to catch up. But this is one of the better elbow throughs I've seen on his bench in a very freaking long time. And like to have that kick in at the biggest bench he took during the prep, like I'm pretty damn stoked with that. So
Yeah.
Jordan's gnarly. And like what I
It's
told
gonna
him
be a good day.
when he ripped the pec off is that he was a little bit worried because again, like ripping a pec off, having your first surgical thing is
Mm.
it's scary to be in that position. But the thing that I think like convinced me that Jordan is gnarly is how he handled the hurricane in Florida and that basically flooded his gym, took it out, destroyed everything. Is he took something that like would ruin other gym owners and came back and made a better gym.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like character reflectiveness because if he can do something like that is why the pec rehab went as well as it did. So credit to
Hmm.
Jordan for being gnarly. And again, it's like the it's one of those things that you can't really teach is you don't just like get to wake up and be resilient. You don't just read a book and get to be resilient.
Yeah.
You do it by doing gnarly things and just not letting them make you quit. And I think like the hurricane thing was one of the ones where I was like, okay, dude, like if you can do that, you can come
Yeah.
back from this pack because that is going to be way maybe not easier, but if you can handle, that level
Yeah.
of like
No,
your life
he can
getting
handle adversity
screwed.
really
Yeah.
well.
So
And like he brought his gym back together really quickly too. Like other gyms that were not hit as hard
took
took
longer.
like months to come back, and I feel like it was almost like the next day. It
Yep.
was like I remember watching it on Instagram and going like how the fuck is he open already? Like
Yep. And like other people that weren't hit as hard were like putting up GoFundMe's and shit. And like other people put
yeah.
GoFundMe's up for Jordan, but Jordan was just like, I'm just gonna fucking do this. And it was quite cool to see
Hmm.
from a distance.
I'm gonna
But
let the dogs out real quick.
yeah, you're gonna leave me alone down here?
Are you gonna be okay for 2 minutes?
No.
I need this barking to stop. Hang on. Sorry. I'll be back.
These are so much harder when it's just me, FYI. It's like I have no one I can rely on and just like put talking into. But we got Mark here doing some deadlifts, and as you can tell from his build, he has a not super powerlifting background. He's coming in here just trying to figure things out and see what he can do to kind of put more weight on the barbell. And like this is fun to figure out because when a guy comes in here and he does have more of like the CrossFitty background, like it's easy to sort some things out and learn how to create better tension. And like that's the biggest thing that I'm looking at here is like his slack pull is not really existent at all. And what I want to kind of clarify on the slack pull is a lot of people think that it needs to be like this get all of the tension out of the bar and then pull. What I just want to see is more tension so that the slack is out as we drop in so that he can just start driving straight up versus having to get everything out of him before everything moves. The slack pull is more about getting tension out of you than the bar. The tension out of the bar just comes as a product of getting tension out of you. And the biggest thing that I want to think about here is when the hips are high, you can kind of see how he's just like dropping the back down into nothingness and everything gets lower as he drops the hips. What I want to think about as he's in this position is getting pressure through the floor to pull him up against the bar and try to drive the top of the rib cage, bottom of the neck upwards in this position. And then the goal as he's pulling in is to keep this as high as he can getting into there so that he doesn't have to kind of like refine that tension in order to get things going. He can just get things going. Do you agree with me or do you not agree?
Oh, I don't know what's happening yet. What do we want?
Better tension pre
Yeah, he's going like that's
super loosey goosey. And I
yeah.
think the other thing
Not a lot of
positioning
hip
wise as
happening.
well is this is quite stiff legged.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
knowing what his squat looks like, I definitely do want to see if we can get more quads in his squat, which is reflective of his deadlift. But I think the other thing too is he's setting up pretty darn vertical shin.
Mhm.
And I think with how long he is, he could make it a goal to once he gets the tension in the start position when his hips are high to really try to like pull the knees in front of the elbows, and that should let him get the hips a little bit closer to the
Yeah.
bar, which will make the bottom end leverages a little bit friendlier, which should absolutely help with getting everything going for him. So I think it's just going to be a matter of like better pretension and using that pretension to shove the knees between the elbows so he actually can get some legs in and it
Mhm.
doesn't have to turn into a stiff leg deadlift. Now, before we get into Chris's, what I want to point out too, just so people know what is going on in here, where is it?
Should we do a Mirko form check too? Is Mirko still here?
Is he? I don't know. Is he here?
Yeah.
He's had a freaking
I
string of
realized
really, really, really gnarly weeks.
gnarly in a good way.
Like he's doing well.
Yeah, good.
But inside of Team Activated Program app, like what's really cool is I just preview the program so to add it to my own calendar. But what's really cool with that is like right now I do have a lot of quad work in here. Like we have this machine squat slot. But with the way Mark's deadlift is looking, what I'd want to do is going to the main deadlift day. I think I'd probably want to pivot the stiff leg deadlift on this day for him to something else quaddy. So like if we're doing like a hack squat on the day one squat, I'd probably want to run a leg press so it's not quite as hard as the hack squat, but still get some extra hard quad touching in because I think the quads are the biggest limiting factor right now there because he's clearly strong in that stiff leg position, so we probably don't need to be doing more stiff legs for him right now.
No.
And I think like it's the kind of the coolest thing about how the team works is like we do have the program app, and like if I actually added this one to my calendar, I'd be able to do it for you live, but I don't want to screw up my own programming in here. But with this, like what you can do is you can go into the program, you can just tap on the lift and then just go swap exercise, and then we put the exercise in that I told you to put in over in the community, and it makes it a way so that there's no way I could ever write custom programs in here for everyone just because there's so many people and it would just be, absolutely undoable. But we can make it pretty much a custom program because I'm able to say like, hey, let's tweak these rep ranges, let's tweak these sets, let's tweak this exercise to make it pretty much a one-on-one program. And that's basically like how the team becomes so affordable but so good because in the school community it's so easy to just rip through check-ins. I can just like lock in, crank the music up and piss my neighbor off that's on the other side of the wall and just rip out check-ins for hours on end. It makes it really easy to get through a ton and give really good feedback. But then having the training app now makes it so easy to like give good programming. So if there is anyone in here that is not signed up, you probably should because
Yeah.
it is very, very, very cool for me.
That's where the cool kids are.
And I've seen Chris's squats already too, so I'm gonna let you take the lead.
Oh
Do you remember
no.
his last squats?
I think so.
Do you remember how not good they were?
Still don't love the head extension.
But you know what? It's least
better.
he at least has tension.
Yeah.
And the pause is so much more assertive.
It is crisper for sure.
That initiation is so good too because with Chris's squat, what it used to look like is basically he would have no hips at all, and he would just like kind of like fall into his knees and like pray to God his brace held up and he could bounce off of his quads. But he's actually getting some hip and he's actually getting some hinge, but not sacrificing the amount of quads he has. Because again, like if a guy is a really quaddy squatter, I do not want to take that away because quads are going to be so important for driving the squat. But what I want to do is how can we get more hips in without taking away from the quad intent? And what we were talking about the other week to try to further dial that in is trying at the top to flex his butt cheeks as hard as he can.
Oh yeah.
And then if you can flex his butt cheeks as hard as he can at the top, and then keep that tension on the way down, and almost use that tension to push him into the quads, that's how we can get a quaddy squat to have hips to help the quads. And like this is so freaking good. Like he's running mid threes for speed work when his best squat ever. I don't want to. I think I know what it is off the top of my head.
Should we put quaddy squats on a shirt or something?
Quaddy squatty.
Quaddy squatty.
Yes.
I mean, we still want hamstrings and other things.
His best squat in a meet, it's open powerlifting is high up. His best squat in a meet is 429, and he's.
What weight was that?
I think it's 315,
325, 335.
340.
350.
Yeah, 350. Yeah, so
Depending
like
on the bar.
if his best meet squat is 429 and he's moving this well for his speed work, like we're gonna smack a PR.
Yeah.
So I am very, very, very excited. And I think again, like what Miata was saying with the head extension, we could just get that head back, but chin a little bit more down, pick a spot on the floor that lets him see something where his head just stays neutral and just keep it there. And I think that'll lock in the brace even further. But dude, this is so freaking cool.
And one more thing, kind of nitpicky, he's moving his neck as he like comes up out of the hole every time too. So I would just try to like find that neutral position and then maintain that position as you come up. Your neck shouldn't be something that moves.
Yep.
While you're squatting. But
now Frank's got his wife in here. She's not in the team, but
she should be.
Maybe she should be. But what I do too is like if there's someone with a coach, or that I'm not with a coach, or that is a coach. I have people in here that have coaches too. But if someone is a coach, like I'm totally fine. Like if they aren't sure about a client, to like drop their client's lift in, and we can take a look at it. I can give ideas. If a client's struggling with a certain body part issue, I can give ideas and kind of help guide the coach. Because it's like I don't just want to help lifters in here. I want coaches to be able to better help their clients. And like that's again one of the cool things. Matt's in the chat before we get there. for squat mornings, is it good mornings down, pull into quads, and stand up like normal? Yes. So squat
Yeah.
morning, if my hand is the guy squatting, we want to be hinging and then hams to pull in. And
Yeah.
again, like I think like seeing where you struggle to get into the knees, I might be kind of thinking like more of a 1.5 than a squat morning, just because I want to kind of have that practice of like really pulling into the bottom. Because if we kind of get more squat morning, we might be kind of going the other way with our squat intent. So I don't know if I'd want to go that direction right now, but I think maybe a future direction once we know that that pull in is
Yeah.
dialed.
Also, I should say, yeah, did we get it right? Frake's wife is very strong, as we can see here.
But she's in deadlift suit first session in it. And I think like knowing what her last pulls that I've seen look like, I'm pretty damn
It's getting
happy.
better.
And like what her last pulls look like, your first rep she kind of does it when there isn't as much tension and she's fighting the suit a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm.
Is we do have that little bit of the not quite pulled in enough and then needing to rebend to finish.
Yeah.
But what I'm excited about is on the second rep when she has an eccentric and she's not getting tossed around by the suit as much, like it is freaking clean. So like this tells me that the thing is working.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in order to make it work more, I think I'd want to figure out a setup where we aren't getting tossed around by the suit so much, because it looks like with how tight the suit is, it's kind of jacking up her brace a little bit and kind of then getting in the way of being able to pull herself into really hard quad tension. And I think what I might want to do is, with her being competing in strongman, like that's why she's running straps, that's why she's running deadlift suit, that's why I'm okay with straps in a deadlift suit, is what I might want to do is either like take a half kneel or just step feet further back and then walk in. And with that, if she is taking like a half kneel, what I'd want to do is get the strap set and then set brace, then tuck that foot in. And if she does that, she should have a way better brace on that first rep, and it should let her get and keep more quads in the situation.
We were just talking about this, Darrell and I, with Tyler. I think it was yesterday at the gym. We were talking about doing deficit pulls with straps, and same thing. Like it's almost impossible to properly set straps while your like feet are set in a deficit. You can just like I kneel, and I think Darrell was saying that he like takes a couple steps back, but just kind of like
you just find a way you can set your brace and not be limited. And I guess like a deficit for a raw lifter, like it's going to be harder to maintain good position. But a deadlift suit is basically how you get pounds out of a deadlift suit. Is a deadlift suit is trying to just like squish everything in, and your job is to expand against it as hard as you can. But if you're already compressed to set the straps up and you don't have the air, you don't have the brace while you're setting the straps, it becomes insanely difficult to be able to expand against all that suit tension when you're already bent over. So if you can set the brace where there is less suit compression, I think that should let her have better brace, which I think should clean up the push off the first one, which should make the first rep look more like the beautiful second, third, fourth, fifth.
Yeah.
So I think based on second, third, fourth, fifth, when she isn't inhibited in positioning by the suit, like this is doing exactly what we needed to do. I think we just need to figure out that start position a little bit further so that it works better. Now we got Pia with some banded deadlifts and pendlay rows. I've seen these on Instagram too, so I'm cheating.
You're cheating.
I don't really like tell people to like post new stuff that I haven't seen, so you can be a little bit surprised by it. But
I feel like last time we saw her do banded pulls, they were good.
That was so pretty. I don't know if you guys saw the deadlift mistakes video, but I kind of did a little comparison with Pia's first pulls in here versus where she was now. And I wish I had this video to put in that comparison. This is so good. This is so freaking good. And with her, she has arthritis in both knees. So her knees were really, really, really jacked up. She was told by a doctor to never squat because squats are scary, and all of her pulls were looking super stiff-legged. So the biggest focus for getting her going was getting some better quad work in there and then learning to use them on the deadlifts. Because again, it's obvious with how she pulls that she has a very strong posterior chain. But then the problem becomes that because it was entirely posterior chain, she was kind of running out of room a little bit at the top end. But like seeing this, knowing how hard the banded pulls are because they do expose her top end, like this has me freaking excited. Like I am excited to see how solid that leg drive is, because like the knees are over the bar, they're not kicking back, they're staying in it, and the upper back is then getting less exposed because she actually has leg drive to push out of the bottom. So
no, it looks great.
You guys can't tell, I'm very very stoked. Now the pendlay rows, expected to put on a clinic again.
Wasn't the main thing last time that we wanted her to do more weight?
This is still heavier than last time.
I still want you to do more weight.
She did go up. She's posted a couple where she has gone up. But again, like if I'm thinking pendlay row, I want it to be this strict. And we had someone else on the team commenting on one of our last Pendlay rows that they might want to see it a little bit more like a wedge row where you're like wedging in like a deadlift to pop the bar off the floor, then pulling. But that's going to be a little bit more specific to building upper back skill in deadlift. With Pia, it's not really like we don't really need to build upper back skill because she is good at using it. I just want to see more oomph. So what I want to try to do is basically just make this as hard on the upper back as possible, not worry about the skill component because she already has that dialed, and running the Pendlay row this strict is going to do it. And do you guys ever learn anything from members, clients in the
Yeah.
chat? And oh, I saw Logan's comment, I got distracted. But anyway, so absolutely yes.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that kind of like is cool for me is again like with the coaches in here, like coaches are all going to coach differently and have different processes of explaining things. And I think that, like the coolest part is like having Gabby in here, having Darrell in here, having Frank in here, having Keelan in here. It's like having Wyatt in here. It's like seeing their feedback. Like
Mhm.
it's never the same thing that I would say, but
Yes.
it's cool because it's like the same things that they're seeing are usually pretty damn similar.
Yes.
And that kind of means that it kind of like opens up my eyes, like, hey, I could maybe potentially explain this a little bit differently. I
Exactly.
could think about this a little bit differently. And like there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yes.
I think that's the coolest part about this is like you're seeing so many cats getting skinned all the time. graphic visual, but yeah, Cooper's looking nervous.
Yeah, but no, that's the thing I was gonna say is people use different cues to accomplish the same goal, or like we'll explain something a little bit differently, and it's like, oh. And one thing that I noticed in my I was a personal trainer for 7 years, and I've been in the fitness industry for a long time. If you continue to use the same cues and the same ways of explaining things to people over and over and over again, more often than not, it's probably not going to work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of just one of the benefits of being in the team is that you're going to learn different ways to tell people.
And I think from my end too, even like even if it's not like something I'm being told or seeing someone say,
Mm-hmm.
what's wild is like before I started the team, like I would say that I was at least pretty okay at coaching powerlifters.
Yeah.
But like I mean, biggest total on earth 3 times contributed to. But
Yeah.
anyways, but this seeing this many lifters every single day, like I'm literally doing like 100 plus checks like this every single day, but more in depth because it's not a YouTube video that I'm trying to keep succinct. Seeing that many lifters doing so many things differently, seeing so many different leverage positions, having to figure out how to explain it to different people, like I have gotten so much exponentially better at dissecting lifts since starting this, and like it's been one of the coolest experiences ever for me. So I am super freaking grateful.
One thing about Pia's Pendlay, I'm just nitpicking. Some of them were kind of bouncy off the floor.
Yes,
That's my one
yeah.
my one thought of something that she could have
Having a
done better.
little bit better dead stop.
Yeah, exactly. That's my one little thing. And you can go heavier.
Like first rep's pretty dead stopped.
Yeah, and then like as she goes on, it just kind of
Gets a little bit sloppier.
it was more
Yeah,
so towards the
yeah.
end of the set.
Yeah, a little bit clanky, a little bit. But again, she's still
Yeah.
settling decently. But again,
Yeah.
it's like those. It's that inconsistency that we could maybe make a little bit more consistent.
Yeah,
But
just
again, it's like
nitpicking.
it's already good enough to get the job done. I think if we just be a little bit more deliberate with the consistency, we could make it even better. Now, Rasmus, I think I'm saying the name right.
What a heavy metal name.
Right?
I feel like I feel like that like what a heavy metal band is called. I feel like there's probably something to that. Maybe I'm just making it up.
So I know what we're working on here, but when he started, he's been here for a couple weeks. His tendency on the unrack was to way freaking over tuck and over retract a little bit, which was causing a lot of instability and bottom end funk. And we're getting him to film from this angle because the side that he was really having trouble with was his right side. And the last bench that he posted, we could see that on the initiation, like his scap just fell off the rib cage. And what is really cool here is you can kind of see out of the bottom, there's a little bit of like leg disconnect. But at the top, that disconnect that I was seeing, I wish I could pull up the old video easily so we could compare it, but I am too technologically stupid to be able to do that without losing everything I'm trying to do right now. But what I got him to do in between these sessions is just run some scap push-ups against a band to prime the serratus to kind of wake it up and get it rolling. And again, it's not like really a muscle activation thing as much as it is just like learning to feel the muscle contract. So on the unrack, we can have the thing active so that we can hold the scap on the rib cage. And this initiation is so much better. Another thing we've been working on with him to kind of prevent that overtuck is trying to rear delt fly into the bar to get a little bit more triceps. And again, like where the rear, if the rear delt is like active pushing into the bar, that's also going to help pull the scap into the rib cage so we're not having that fall off the bench pad. And what I'm getting to do to, well, Cooper's hairs are everywhere. Oh no, gonna have to clean my office after this. Every time Cooper jumps on my desk, I'm like, yay, Cooper. But now that I actually have the nicer office that I'm trying to keep clean, it's like, gosh darn it, there's hair everywhere. But for that kind of serratus rear delt integration, what I'm getting him to do is run a machine rear delt fly where the goal is to protract as hard as he can and then try to drive the shoulder socket forward as he is doing that rear delt fly. And that is going to force serratus and rear delt to work together. And like, obviously, if we're not moving the scap, we're going to be limited in range of motion, so we can't go all the way back. But if we're not moving the scap and we're just keeping it anchored forward, this becomes really freaking hard in the rear delt. And it's kind of one of the better ways, in my opinion, to directly target the rear delt. Now, we got Austin's meet recap where he had a pretty decent squat, got a little bit too amped on
I think he's a little too excited there, eh?
But on his third, he got a little bit too excited and ended up missing it when he probably shouldn't have. But that kind of comes down to the making sure that we're not too excited, not too fired up. Because like looking at his 455,
this is better already. Oh,
like it is a little bit sticky. And again, I can kind of see why he wanted to get really hyped for the third. But you can kind of see that his elbows go. Looking at the brace,
yeah,
it like he's flaring rib cage. It's not quite there, and it's like if the rib cage flares, it makes it so hard to keep both the quads and the glutes in it. So that's kind of one of those things where it's like if he was just a little bit calmer, he probably could have been more mindful with the brace, and that I think could have at least had him a better chance to fight through it. But I also think the other thing is we just gotta keep making legs stronger, keep making brace stronger, so that even if he does get too hyped, there's more wiggle room.
One thing that I learned from training at Elite FTS when my first few times getting used to using a monolift is more often than not, you want your pick out of a monolift to be 10 times slower than you want it to be.
Yeah, slow.
And it's something that we consistently, every time our mono picks suck and we can't figure out why it sucks,
it just slow down.
We need to slow down. And especially since you don't have that chance to like walk out and let the weight settle into you, it just helps you set your brace better. Really. You're just kind of like actually like creating tension into the bar instead of just jerking into it and then hoping your brace is good.
Yeah.
But that would be my biggest thing with his mono pick is just, I think he could have gone 10 times slower, honestly. Yeah.
And I think like with the bench didn't go the way that he wanted it to. And I think the biggest problem with his bench this meet prep is we were kind of harping on him the entire prep because he's got his eyes on some really big numbers, which is a good thing. But when, you know, your eyes are bigger than your balls.
Oh. What numbers is he hoping for?
Well, the 255 moved well. The 275, you know, got a little bit sticky and it looked like the triceps were a little bit laggy. And then went to 295 off that sticky 275 and got a little bit, you know, out of the pocket on this one. But I think, again, like this is going to be like number one. His whole training cycle, it was like every bench day he would miss and then be pissed off about the miss. And because he was pissed off about the miss, he'd try another big lift the next week and then miss that the next week. And then because he was pissed off about that, and like the entire time I'm just like, dude, just chill. Just chill, get good reps in, build momentum. And then every week it was just like, I've got to go for something big. And then it just turned into missing. And it's like, if you just get in that cycle of missing, you're basically teaching yourself how to miss. Yeah. So I think like the biggest thing that I'm going to need to ask from Austin is like, let's go 10 weeks in a row without missing a single bench. I don't care how light it is. If we go 10 weeks in a row without missing a single bench so that we can actually train versus just teaching ourselves to miss over and over again, like you're going to have so much better practice benching. You're going to have so much better training benching because every time you miss a weight, you're going to put yourself in that fatigue hole. Every time you miss a weight, you're going to put yourself in a mental hole. And if we can just go 10 weeks without being in either of those holes, like even if the heaviest you press is 245 and it moves really well, I guarantee that your bench will get better just from being able to train it and not having those misses fatiguing you from being able to push the accessories. Because the thing with conjugate is that max effort, it's the fun thing, but it's not the thing that makes you better, especially if you're pushing it too hard to the point where you are missing over and over and over again. Because the max effort is only there to show us how well the work we're doing on our secondaries and accessories is working. And if we can't do what we need to do on the secondaries and accessories because we're always missing and we're always pissed off about missing, then
Yep.
it's not helping us. So like all we got to do to get the bench where you want it to be is just be okay benching lighter for 10 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And if we can do that and then build the secondaries, build the accessories hard, it's going to work because it's just the being that little bit more chilled out so we can let it happen. And again, it's one of those things where it's just like we've harped on it so many times that it's just like just commit to not forcing it for 10 weeks. Like that's all you got to do. And hopefully if you can do that for 10 weeks, you'll go like, holy shit, my bench is finally going in the right direction, and then learn from it and go.
Yeah. How long has he been lifting for?
He's pretty young. Like I think
I-
he's 19 years old. So again, he's
Oh,
at
yeah.
he's at that age where it's very
I
difficult
was
to
just
act
thinking.
mature under the
I was
barbell.
just thinking
But the
that.
sooner we can freaking do it, the better it'll go. And he kind of went through a little bit of that on his deadlift because he was kind of having some pushing really hard, then having a really shitty week. And like he figured it out on his deadlift pretty decently,
Yep.
as evident by, pulling some all-time PRs on the platform here. But the one thing that I want to yell at him here too is he kind of forgot the head position, chin position on meet day. And I'm not sure if this is,
Yeah.
this is a little bit meat hype, but he also
Yeah.
did not open with the planned numbers that I had. And I think that like why I wanted him opening lighter than he did is, again, I don't think this got in the way here because he had more in the tank on deadlift than he realized because he was letting himself build momentum and the taper worked. But I think the biggest thing is like if we did open a little bit lighter and had potentially a little bit bigger swing from the opener to the second, is like if you are comfortable, like if he opened this at the 475 and then went to the 550, went to the 5, like he could realize like, hey, I got a bigger jump in the tank. And if he did that, I think that could have opened the door to like a 545, 555. So it's like when I tell people to open lighter, it's never because I think they're less strong. It's because I want them to have like the wiggle room to be able to have know what a big jump feels like opener to second so that they can be comfortable with a big jump from a second to a third. Because it's like opening 505 and then going to 515, like, and then going to 535, like that doesn't make sense. So again, I think it's just like a listening to the plan thing and just realizing that you don't need to force it to make it happen. Hey, powerlifting disc golf. I got your Jefferson deadlift first off, so you're a little late to the show.
Oh, you're late. You should go back and look at my facial expressions because I was not expecting it, honestly. But one thing that reminds me of is when I was first getting into powerlifting, the amount of times that I deadlifted between 315 and 335.
Yep.
Over and over and over again. And I think I failed 335 like every other week for maybe like 6 months.
Which is frustrating because you're like, why isn't it going up? Why isn't it going up? Why am I just hitting the same thing? And now that Isaac's in here, what I kind of want to say is like, so like Isaac just had a freaking insane meet. Like Isaac like blew his old total out of the water on every lift, was freaking gigantic. The only thing that he kind of screwed up on is his third attempt deadlift was a little bit out of pocket, but he hit a 60, 70 pound PR on your second. So like if you hit a 60, 70 pound PR on your second, like it's like, okay, we can send it a little bit.
Yeah.
But like comparing Isaac's training to Austin's, it's not like Austin is not trying. It's not like Austin isn't trying hard enough.
Yeah.
Austin is trying too hard to make the max effort work. And because he's trying too hard to make the max effort work, he's getting in his own way. Whereas like Isaac is really, really, really good for someone his age at just being okay with leaving a little bit in the pocket of the max effort so he can plug away his secondaries, plug away at his accessories. And then it's like the shit's climbing because he's putting the distribution of effort into the right places. So I think that's going to be exactly what he needs to be doing. So
yeah, and they're both strong kids. It's just trying hard at the right places.
Yes. And I think like it's one of those things where it's like if Austin can learn to have that little bit more maturity and load selection on the main work, I think it's going to be one of those things where he's going to be so much better off for it in the long term, because it's like it kind of works when you're young. Like you can kind of get away with it when you're young, but it's like if I tried to pull that bullshit, I'd rip both pecs off in a week. So it's one of those things where we gotta learn to do it earlier so that we don't get stuck when we are older. Because I think the thing that happens to a lot of lifters is like are getting away with it, getting away with it, then all of a sudden they don't get away with it, and it ends up being so hard for them to figure it out because they did get that little bit stronger, and like it's harder for them to want to take weight off the bar because they are that little bit stronger. If we
Mm-hmm.
can just be okay taking weight off the bar sooner and realize that the most productive training is going to come from being the right amount of effort, not as hard as you can go, like that's how you're going to make progress for the long haul. And it's like one of those things that like I was right there with you when I was your age because I was a freaking dumbass, but I figured it out and I figured out how to last. And that's one of the things that I really, really,
Yeah.
really try to teach to the young guys is like if you can just get it going sooner, you're going to be so much better off.
Yeah.
Now we got Ty, close grip incline with 300, big PR. And this is something that I'm really curious to see, knowing how his normal bench looks. He's freaking strong too. Like he's strong. But I think knowing how strong his real bench
Whoa.
is and seeing how where the elbows want to go, I think this is one of the things that I want to get really, really, really good at, knowing the discrepancy between this and because he's, pretty much 500-pound bencher. Like he is strong as shit, but clavicular pec is a little bit laggy. Triceps
Mm-hmm.
are that little bit laggy, and incline is clavicular pec and triceps with a little bit of front delt sprinkled in. So I think that like this, what I want to see here, the only thing I want to see in terms of how the bench looks is a little bit more control on the way down. And I think where that'll come from is on the unrack. If we can, basically what I'm trying to visualize is on incline bench unrack, we want to again like have that same like lat pull out, but we almost want to extend that to the point where we're letting the bar push our scaps further into depression and almost like feeling the bar load into serratus and then really pulling into that tension, trying to drive chest up high, slowing down that little bit of like drop in the bottom. So we actually are forcing the clavicular pec to
Yeah.
take more load. I think it's going to be like that is going to make this
Yes.
more effective. And then if we can get this up to 400,
Yes.
he's gonna bench like 550. So
I have a completely off-topic question / comment about him.
yep,
Is he a good squatter?
he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Look
He's
at
kind of
look at how thick his knee joints are. That is
right.
all I can look at right now, and how short his femurs are. If he's not squatting 800 plus, I am gonna
I
be
mean,
beside myself.
it ain't quite there, but we're working
We're
on it.
working on it, dude. You have no excuse to not squat 800 plus with those knees
Like this
and
is pretty
legs.
much it's like pretty much Dad Bell level.
Oh my
girth.
god!
So
Look at that.
and again, like that's why I want to figure out how to get more quads to do a squat so we can actually use that because his squat kind of looks a little bit like I guess like Shane Hallery, even though he's got very different levers than Haller.
Interesting. Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out how to get more
quad.
Yeah.
No, look at that.
Because the anatomy's like let's use quads.
Look at the femur length there. Can we just pause for a second? I want to draw. I wish I could draw on this. Yeah. Look at how short that femur is compared to his torso.
Yeah. So.
What's his name?
Ty.
Ty, I'm gonna be watching you. We need you to squat 800 plus.
Yep.
900, 1,000. How much does he weigh? 275,
yeah,
300?
Yep, 275, I think.
Bro.
Yeah.
I agree. Next Friday, I want to see your squat in here. I don't care about this anymore.
It's like bench we can make better, but I think like squats where we got the real room to grow. And like deadlift too, because like he's got the meatball deadlift build, which
I mean
we got to figure. It's going to be hard, but we're figuring it out.
Look at his torso compared to his femurs, though.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's like I live that life.
What the fuck?
Someone in here that I got to get posting more because I think it'll be really good for Ty to see is Bruno.
Oh yes.
Yep.
100%.
I always kind of bug Bruno about needing to like post more stuff because it's like Bruno's so freaking good at what he does that I almost just want to use him as an example of people with similar leverages to him. Because Bruno's more, meatball built than I am. I'm gonna pull Bruno up.
What's Bruno's best squat? Is it 800?
925 in sleeves and at a lighter weight class than me because I'm pissed. So I'm pissed off.
Is Ty here? What is your best squat, Ty? If he's not here, I'm just talking to myself. Does anyone else agree with me? Did anyone else see that and go, what the fuck is those knees?
But this is Bruno. So this is the platform that I always talk about, like almost killed me just because it was so squishy. And then look at this asshole walking out from the oh no, this was the year they walked out for the mono. Yes, so like look at him walking out from the mono because he didn't have a mono to practice on this squishy ass platform, and then just dummying the squat, dunks it. But like, I don't know if Ty could handle this right now just because of like the
Yeah, no, we're
flexibility.
gonna build
We
up
don't
to
need
it.
to be this narrow and this
Yeah.
kind of this quaddy right off the hop. But I think like if we can get the hips and everything to come around, get the quads to come around, so we can actually use it and make the squat look Bruno-ish, like this is gonna be freaking cool. So yeah,
Yeah. No,
I am
absolutely.
quite stoked.
Is tie in sleeves or wraps?
Wraps the last meet that I've seen.
Okay.
So, but
All
yeah,
right.
this is what I want to aim for.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna pull this up on my phone before I accidentally show a photo of me naked since I've been taking diet check-in photos for Justin Harris.
What are you looking for?
I'm gonna try to find the video of my squat on the same platform because it's freaking hilarious.
Oh,
Like
the next year I squatted on this platform at the same meet. I have to concur. It was fucking terrible. It was very shaky.
and like in training for this
Yeah.
meet, I was like, I'm gonna beat Bruno, I'm gonna beat Bruno, I'm gonna beat Bruno. And then I just got like destroyed by the platform, and I was just,
Oh.
oh, why is it up there? Oh no, is it because I'm streaming? It's doing this bullshit again. I think I need to airdrop it to myself. Is the darn it, airdrop. Oh, I'm clicking on the phone cast. I'm just gonna quit the phone cast just so it stops screwing up. But I hope this is the right video.
Who's Special K?
I don't know.
We're almost done Special K unless you have another video.
Okay, so here's me.
Yeah.
I think this is my third. I hope this is the right video. But
Oh.
look how much I'm shaking because I can't drive through my toes with the stupid squishy carpet on top of AstroTurf. I don't know how I survived this.
It scared the shit out of me when he took this, because this was what, a year after you tore your adductor and
Yep.
abs. I watched him take this pic, and I just like I didn't have any. I just was silent.
I don't know how I
and
got the squat
staring.
command. but like eccentrically I'm like dying. Like concentrically once I get down there, like it moved well. But this and this wasn't my third. This was my last squat of the day. This is my second. Because after that pick, I was just like, I'm done. I am not dying today. So I just took 903 and moved on, even though it moved okay. But holy shit, I've never been closer to dying on a squat. So this is just like Bruno squatting 20 pounds more than that and making it look easy and smooth while walking up for the mono. He's a prick.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Ty, you should get better at squatting.
Yep.
You're built for it. Cool. Well, if people want to be form checked, if they want to have their form checked, what should they do?
Hop in the team. Because again, like it's insane. I think like the biggest holdup of people like not signing up is that they don't understand how freaking good it is, because with how the community is set up, like we're able to give one-on-one level feedback to people at like literally a fifth of the price of what they'd pay a coach to give them less timely feedback on. And it's cool from my end to be able to see the progress that we're making. Yeah, because like it's under a tenth of what I am charging right now for one-on-one. And I'm just like ignoring my one-on-one form. I'm just like, I don't care. I don't want to do this because the team is more fun. But no offense to my one-on-one people. I'm at a point now where it's like I've thinned my one-on-one herd a little bit. So like everyone that annoys me is gone, and I only got people left that I'm like stoked to help. So like it's more manageable. But again, like the amount you're getting out of the team is so insane. I think if more people realized it, like everyone would be signed up. And on that note, we are going to be
Mr. Metal Hip Ramping. Is that Slaymaker? Who is it?
Where? What
Special
are you talking about?
K. Who's Mr. Metal Hip Ramping Deadlift? That doesn't give me much information. The team is awesome. Oh, so he is doing Jefferson's more than a sumo. I think you're built for conventional, man. It's just you need to get there.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was proof of it.
Yep. Yeah. I'd say if anyone's new to this thread, gonna pull this up again just before we close out because it's so stupid.
One more time.
Oh, it's not even on the screen. It's not on the screen. Oh no. There we go. Okay. Yes. Okay, fixed it. Fixed the problem.
Go back, watch it one more time. So gnarly. Also, my facial expressions at the beginning were not that this was disgusting. It was why am I watching a Jefferson deadlift for the first time in 5 years?
Yeah.
But anyways, that was fun.
Yeah, I think we're
What else do we have here? Did anyone else say anything nice?
We got James and Matthew both in here.
Oh yeah.
Pumping it up. But again, it's like it's I did not know it was possible to make it this good when we started it,
Yeah.
and it just like makes me want to keep going and keep on doing good as we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, if
Anyways,
you want to get better at powerlifting and you want to be held accountable so you actually do the work, hit the
yeah.
link below, join the team.
If you want to be gently bullied / pushed to
Maybe
get
less
better,
gently.
should we be less gentle?
I don't know. Some people I'm less gentle with, but it's like most of the people that I like. Not that I don't like
don't-
everyone, but it's like if I know someone, I'll be less gentle if they're screwing up.
Oh,
Like
yeah. Oh, okay, I was gonna say, who do we not? I think we like everybody.
yeah, but like Brandon, if he's still in here watching, like I rip on him pretty hard, but like that's because it's like I know
Oh,
him at
yeah.
this point and like I feel like I can rip on him. And it's also because he like reminds me so much of me at his age with how he moves and how he lifts. And I'm like, we gotta fix this shit because I know the potential that's there.
Yeah. Also, one thing that I like to say about myself is that shit talking is one of my love languages.
Yes.
If I don't shit talk you, like to your face, we don't do it behind your back. But if I don't say something slightly mean to your face, it probably means that I don't like you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm nice, but like gentle bullying is a sign of love to me. But anyways, on that note, I got nothing else.
Bye.
Bye.